Hey, and welcome back to Game Talk. I'm your host, Sam, and me on today, and joined by Connor.
Hey, guys.
And Mike.
Hello.
And it is the final game of the series of games that all three of us have been playing. Starfield. Now, this is, some people would argue this is the big one. This is the one Microsoft's been hyping up for years, the one that Bethesda's been hyping up for what seems like closer to a decade now. Finally out on PC and Xbox. We've all been playing it to various degrees. First thoughts.
It's as good as Skyrim. Better, definitely.
It's better than Skyrim.
I like it. I don't think it's like a masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination, but it is fun. I've been having it's so very fun to just like, and this is something I haven't been able to do with Armored Core or Baldur's Gate. Just, you get off work, you turn on Starfield. Like, it is not an exhausting game to play in the way that those two could be.
You can exist in this world, and it allows you to do that, because the world will work around you.
Now, I've got beefs, but, like, it's good.
I wanna highlight, we can get into this a little bit later, but my total playtime with this game is probably around 4 to 5 hours, because I've spent countless hours tinkering with the settings.
Yeah.
And we can talk about that. But
PC
I think Mike,
moment.
in my brief time with this game so far, and I do plan to play a lot more of it, Mike really nailed it on the head. Like, existing in this world is such a joy. Like, getting lost in one of the many cities on one of the many planets, in one of the many systems, like, I love that feeling.
They did pretty good with that, but they did, like, there's just little stuff that this game gets I think I've been thinking about what I was going to say about this game, and this is one of those situations where, like, I want to be clear, I spent last week, like, dunking on Armored Core, and that's because I think that's a game that's really close to something special, whereas I think Starfield isn't anywhere near as good as Armored Core, but then in that case, all I see are the things it does right, and it swings constantly. It's constantly taking swings at different things. And I think it misses more often than it hits, but they're inoffensive, and when it does hit, it's like pretty good.
It's really good. That's the specialty, is they try to be very broad, and they try to hit as many aspects of game design as they can in a single game, and when it hits, it hits.
Yeah, I was not loving the game until, like, I kind of diverged, and this is just good advice in general, this game. The main story is a bit of a slog. Did you guys, I imagine you haven't, Ahmed, but Mike, did you complete the main story?
Nope, I have not touched I got the space powers, and I stopped the main quest.
Yeah, those are...
I mean, very much like... By the way, I don't even know what those space powers are, so I'm not even that far.
The powers...
very much so like every other Bethesda game I played. I was bored out of my mind until I just said, you know what, screw this main quest. I'm just never going to pay attention to it again. The second I made that decision, I was having the time of my life in that game.
There's some really good stuff at the end of the main quest. Like, there's something that, like, and granted, all of it's all lifted off of much better games, in my opinion. Like, or at least, that's not fair. It is done worse than the game that it is lifted from. But there's, like, a little bit of Titanfall in there. There's a little bit of Outer Wilds in there. And that was doing it for me, although it was just, like, nowhere near as good as it was done in Outer Wilds, but it was cool. I was enjoying it. The problem is, like, the main quest to get there is that you predominantly just go in a cave, kill a bunch of dudes, grab an artifact, see the same cutscene you've seen. I think you see it over 10 times. It might be like 15 times. You have to watch this exact... No, it's a little different every time, but not meaningfully different. And then you leave, and then you go back to New Atlantis and you get it again. So the main quest is a slog, except for, like, I think it's called Rashina Research Lab. Whenever you guys get the opportunity to go there, that's actually a really fun area. And then the actual finale is pretty fun.
So I think, so this game, right, like, I do agree that it has its warts, right? But, like, a lot of Bethesda games, like, I feel like everything comes together to sort of be greater than the sum of its parts from my perspective, right? Like, for example, right, like, when you're exploring like Neon or New Atlantis, you're just like, this location has such an crazy sense of place and scale, and you feel like you're actually there. And that's exactly how I felt when I was playing Skyrim or Oblivion. But then, like, with their ambitions with this game, right? Like, it's a it's a galactic scale game. And
they lose me a little bit there.
That's what I was going to say, right? Like, for as immersive as it is, there's a loading time for going through this door.
Yeah, no.
You can't actually lift off the planet. You just watch a cutscene and see a loading screen. You can't actually land on a planet.
Doesn't bother me. The cutscene doesn't bother me if it was hiding the load screen. The fact that I get a cutscene and a load screen kind of annoys me.
I agree, yeah.
They don't hide load screens ever in this game, and it's kind of baffling why, because a lot of the load screens, you open an airlock, you have to wait for the airlock to decompress, you step into the airlock, then you click the other door, the airlock has to like recompress or whatever, and then you go into a load screen. Why did they not use the airlock to hide the load screen? I know that it's not that easy, but at the same time, Metroid Prime did this in 2000,
but at the same time, right, like, what this game is going for, at least to me, is like total immersion. And it succeeds in that. Like, I can't describe to you, like, when I veered off the main quest and just follow my own path, I ended up on Neon to do this quest. And
you and I do not agree about the quality of this quest.
Well, no, you don't even know what I was going to say.
I do. You're doing the Ryujin thing.
Yeah, but I wasn't going to talk about that.
Oh, okay.
I was just going to say, when I landed on Neon and walked on the streets of Neon for the first time, I felt like I was in an actual place. It felt incredible. But...
Yeah.
But, like, actually, that feeling only lasts, until you reach the next load screen, and then you're suddenly jerked out of it. And there's, like, enough of those for it to feel kind of problematic to me, where it's constantly disrupting your immersion. That's kind of my view on it.
Yeah, and like in Neon, this is another beef I have, is that everywhere is America in space. Like, everywhere you go is inspired. Like, all of the I've been into urbanism lately, and everywhere is an American city. Like, you have your commercial district and your housing district and sometimes like an entertainment district, and never do those things meet. Like, they are all very far apart for some reason. And like, they don't, and in that sense, like, it's a little, why is that every city is like that everywhere I go? Like, even Neon has its districts that it's a little more obfuscated, and like, that's just very strange. Even also Aquila was like that as well. Have you guys been there?
I think I have. Is that the one where with like the bank robbery or whatever happening?
Yeah, worst city in the game. Yeah, it's just Fallout New Vegas, and I hate it.
It did strike me as a little weird. It was just like, okay, I get that they're going for like a Western vibe here, but this game's also set like hundreds of years in the future. Like, why would there be like a kind of normal Western looking town on a planet?
Yeah, it's also, it's the worst. It's the most immersion breaking area of the game too. Like, in my experience, because you go there and you clear out this bank robbery, and this is another thing. This game visually is pretty good, I think. It's not like the best graphics in the world. It's carried by style more than technical prowess, I would say. But a lot of places look good and feel fairly real here. And you go into this bank, and you can clear it out peacefully, but I was unable to, so I killed all the bank robbers. And then in this, like, not photorealistic, but close enough, like, these feel like people. And the workers of this bank come back in and reopen the bank without moving these bodies at all. Like, there is no respect.
I negotiated them out. Did you?
No, I murdered them.
I killed them.
Yeah, I negotiated them out.
There is no respect in this game for human life anywhere. Like, no one cares who lives or who dies for a single moment in this entire game.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah. It's such a quandary, right? Because like Bethesda games, like, they have this seemingly like insanely in depth. Like you can go anywhere, do anything mentality, right? But like the second you push that a little bit, it becomes immersion breaking. Whereas, I hate to like compare games, but if I feel like in a game like Baldur's Gate 3, the NPCs would have been aware there were dead bodies and would have commented on them, or that would have caused something to happen, you know? Like,
there's another moment in Aquila where you meet one of your companions, Sam Coe. You meet his dad. And if you blow his father's brains out in front of him, he will say, "I don't agree with what you did, but the mission is more important." And that sort of thing, like when Baldur's Gate came out like a month ago, that doesn't fly anymore. Like, that's insanity. Why? Why was like... And also, this game like plays fast and loose with who you're allowed to kill and who you're not. Like, that's crazy that you can kill him. But there's a mission I was doing in another area, and this is another thing where this game like it tries not to take a political stance in many ways, but then it clearly does in others. I flew to another place, and there was a mission I was doing where several executives in a room genuinely suggested either I have to doom a group of people to slavery, or I have to pay for their freedom myself.
Was this a Ryujin quest?
No. This was, I don't think it was Ryujin.
Different
it was on a planet called Paradiso. Yeah, different corporation. And
Paradiso. I haven't done that one yet.
And my solution, which felt like the obvious solution to me because I'm not doing either of those other things, was to kill all the executives in this room. And every single one of them was unkillable.
Wow.
And that is a bad take. That is an extremely bad take to make the executives that are cool with slavery immortal.
Yeah, I just...
so I ended up...
I don't know, like... this very much is an iteration on what started with, like, Morrowind, right? Like...
Oh, yeah.
It's... Bethesda, for better or worse, makes the same Bethesda game. Obviously, there are improvements with each one, right? And I think Starfield might be the best iteration of them all. I don't know. I have to play it a bit more. But, like... I just feel like that design philosophy in 2023 is not quite enough. You know?
I don't even know if I agree with that. It's just that, like, they need to either pull their punches or follow through. Because you can't tell a story with, like, a bunch of freedom like that, but then take away my freedom at some point. Like, you can't... Like,
well, that's what I'm saying, right? Like in a lot of other modern RPGs, like it would have taken that scenario into account.
No,
like,
yeah, in Baldur's Gate, I could have killed him. Like, yeah, and there would have been unique dialogue from everyone involved, and
potentially impacting other like related stories and all of that. But like, no, Bethesda games are very much like, these are the Ryujin quests, and you can go through them, and like maybe there's a choice at the end, and these are the marine quests or whatever, and you can go through them. You know, like it
also weirdly, like, it likes to face you with an ultimatum at some point. Like, I was doing the Ryujin quest line, and it got to the point where they wanted to do an irreversible operation to my character. And the only way to avoid that is to just never, like, to walk away. And they tell you that, like, you know where the door is. And that's what I did, because I, in character, would have never done that, so I left. And I never got to complete that quest line.
Yeah. I'm still, like, that's the, like, in terms of our progress of the game, like, I left New Atlantis, found my way to Neon, and started the Ryujin quest line, and I did a few quests in those, and some other side quests around Neon, and that's basically all I've done.
Yeah.
But...
It's, Neon is probably it's high up on my favorite area.
I really like Neon.
The cities are kind of the worst part of this game, in my opinion, though. Like, some of the...
I think New Atlantis was very interesting.
I like New Atlantis as well. I thought it looked a little ugly, but something about... I really vibed with Neon. I like Neon a lot.
New Atlantis is just so big, and I, like, couldn't find anything in it. Like, I had to Google where the clinic was because I had like a dislocated limb, that's another thing about this game that I think it does better than other Bethesda games. Your ailments you can get actually matter and are frustrating until you get them fixed.
Doesn't Fallout does that, right, Mike? You can like actually get injured, like get broken bones and stuff, and doesn't Fallout do that?
No, this is the first game that's introduced this affliction system.
Yeah, and it's cool. The only other one that I can think of is like vampirism in Elder Scrolls.
Like you could get diseases in Elder Scrolls, but they didn't have the same effects as like getting frostbite or breaking your shins.
Yeah, and that's neat. And like I had one that like lowered my encumbrance, which is another thing. Encumbrance shouldn't be in this game. It's just really annoying. I would mod it out.
That's super low.
Yeah,
it's way too low.
It's extremely frustrating, and like the result is that I just never loot anything. The only thing I take are digipicks, credits, and ammo. Like I leave everything else unless it's like a gold weapon. And that's just, I don't know. Because it's super low for your ship, too. You can't carry that much stuff on your ship unless you have, like, huge cargo containers. Which I guess that's probably fine, actually. I wouldn't change that necessarily.
Yeah, I just wish, I don't know, man, like...
You want more cargo, you need more cargo. The only problem is the bug/feature where it will take all the items off of your ship that are loose and stick it in your cargo bay.
Yes. Also,
every time you change your ship.
Well, this is a good time to go into like the technical issues I've had with this game. Everybody's saying that this game is the least buggy Bethesda game. Like, clearly we're not seeing what I saw.
I mean, that might also be true, like because Bethesda games are just extremely buggy. So even a really buggy game might be their least buggy game,
I consistently saw NPCs like kind of fall out of the sky and land where they were supposed to be standing. That was like a regular occurrence for me. I saw it all the time.
Yeah, I've seen it a couple times, and I'm like, it's just a Bethesda.
It's not.
But
too
here's
bad.
The thing,
that's funny.
Just Bethesda can't, just a Bethesda bug doesn't cut it anymore. It cut it when like they were the only ones sort of making games like this, but that's not the case anymore.
I disagree. I really think that one's harmless.
No, but I'm just saying, like in general.
Yeah, I think if the bug's just funny, it's just funny. Like I had a robot try to jump over a waist high ledge, and it attained infinite velocity and started like vibrating back and forth at a rapid pace, and I didn't feel unimmersed. I just kind of giggled at it and proceeded to put it out of its infinite velocity misery.
That's funny.
The Bethesda bug I saw that is bad is that your ship can disappear. And I'm not the only one this happened to. I saw a lot of people this happened to on Reddit. There seemed to be a few things that led to it, like stealing a ship and landing it somewhere. And at some point, every time I modify my ship, it disappears.
That's
now.
crazy.
So I essentially lost that entire mechanic for the rest of my playthrough until a patch. And that was very frustrating because I needed to upgrade components on my ship and I just couldn't do it. So I never was able to upgrade my grav drive. So the whole playthrough, I just had to bounce between stars. Like I would have to take 5 stops to get where I was going, which is just 5 pointless loading screens. That was extremely frustrating. And I saw it happen to one other person. This game only holds the past 3 quick saves, I think. So he got into a situation, and I don't know how many autosaves, but he got into a situation where he was going to lose something like 5 or 6 hours of progress because his ship had disappeared, and the only way to bring it back was to reload a save from like 5 hours ago.
That sucks.
Yeah. And that's the kind of thing I ran into constantly in this game. My ship kept disappearing. I figured out a few ways. I occasionally, my ship, this one wasn't so bad, but my ship would be there, but the landing bay would not be open, so I would have to fast travel to get inside it. And because the landing bay was closed, it wouldn't let me fast travel to orbit or to another planet. I had to get on board the ship first, and that was just very strange. And just stuff like that, very game. And I crashed. I played this game for 25 hours, and I crashed probably 50 times in that. And it would be all at once, it would crash, and then I couldn't play it that day anymore. It would crash after 5 or 10 minutes every time I turned it on. So I assume it was getting my CPU into a bad state or something, but restarting my computer didn't help. It would genuinely be just turn it off, turn it on the next day, and hope it didn't do that again. And sometimes it would be 2 days I couldn't play. And then eventually I would get past whatever it was and get to play for I went days at a time without crashing, where I would play for 4 or 5 hours and have no issue. So it was just really random. It seems to be related to Ryzen CPUs, which I do have. But that sort of thing, how did they not...
Also, they're partnered with AMD for this game, so that doesn't really make any sense,
And a company as big as Bethesda, with all of Xbox backing them, how And this seems to be an extremely common thing with Ryzen CPUs. This was not rare. Everyone is getting this. How did they not catch this? Like, how did this game release like that? Like, I have seen some bad PC releases recently, but this is by far the worst. On the crashing front, at least.
Yeah.
And that's just crazy, because it is a fun game.
And speaking to my technical, I don't want to call them issues, more nitpicks, right? Like my quest to get this game running at 60 FPS, right? Like I could achieve it in certain areas, but anytime I went into any sort of place with like NPCs, it would drop like a rock.
Oh, it was anywhere with NPCs? Because it was only New Atlantis for me. Pretty much anywhere else.
New Atlantis, Aquila, Neon was surprisingly okay. But like
Neon ran great for me. I never went to Aquila except when I had to, so I actually don't remember how it runs.
Yeah, and the Martian base or whatever, like
Sidonia ran great for me too.
So I don't know. I from all of my I spent an extraordinary amount of. You guys don't understand. Like
you spent a lot. No, I do understand.
Well, maybe you do understand. Yeah. I overclocked my GPU. I overclocked my CPU. I installed all sorts of mods, and there were improvements, but not to the point where I was just like, okay, I'm comfortable playing this game. But eventually, I was just like, all right, I'm going to turn off the FPS counter and just enjoy the game, and I did enjoy the game when I did that. But I do have a new CPU ordered. I'm going to try that. And if that doesn't work, I'm just going to play the game and not worried about it. Because I think at the end of the day, 40 or so FPS, not ideal, but I can deal with it.
So we've entered an era where I used to be a frame rate counter. And there are even there's a lot of episodes of the show where I'm a frame rate counter. But it was Starfield especially, this is not a super fast paced game. And this game has 2 frame rates for me. 1 is bad. And 2 is good. And this game spent almost all of its time in good frame rate. And that's become especially true, low response rate screens. I have 2 OLEDs that I was playing on, my monitor and my TV. That helps. And then variable refresh rate is just revolutionary for, making me not care about frame rate.
No, I have all those features. It's just, I don't know, when it's in first person, the frame rate matters to me a lot. And I don't want to play a Bethesda game in third person.
You were also playing it on a monitor, right?
Yeah, an OLED monitor.
Yeah, when I'm sitting closer, the closer I am to the screen, the more things like that matter to me as well. And I spent the vast majority of my time in this game, on the couch, playing in 4K. Because, have you been playing with a controller?
Yes.
Because that's the other thing, is I think this game's... I mean, on foot, they're fine, obviously. They're just Bethesda on-foot controls. But the ship controls for PC are terrible in this game. I found them extremely annoying.
I thought, they were kind of novel. That you could, divert power to different subsystems.
Oh, I love that.
It is 100% just the same as Elite Dangerous.
Really? Because I hate...
Yeah, Elite Dangerous uses the same thing with mouse and keyboard. Same concept.
Using the mouse to, move that circle, and then, having to move it to the edges to rotate your ship, I just found that horrible. No Man's Sky has the same thing, but you can disable it. You can lock... When you're playing on keyboard and mouse, you can lock your ship controls to, when you move the mouse, it turns the ship. And I find it extremely annoying to have the separate cursor.
I'm so used to it from Elite Dangerous that it felt like a 1-to-1 ratio, and once I got, precise thruster control, base combat basically opened up for me.
Maybe I'm just in the wrong here, but I absolutely, I played this on keyboard and mouse for an hour, and I immediately... swap back to controller. I found it extremely frustrating.
I don't know. I kind of wish I had put more time in this game, because I feel like I've barely scratched the surface, right? I haven't even gotten a second ship yet. I haven't really gotten into ship combat. I haven't even done any of the base building or whatever, the outpost building.
The base building's bad.
Yeah, I haven't done any companion stuff.
Base building?
I haven't really done anything, so.
The base building's very half-baked in this game. You can build your base anywhere you want, as far as I can tell.
And can't you have people run those bases for you and collect resources? See, I'm into that sort of thing if it's done well.
But there's no customization. There's a few different building types you can build. There's one type of door, and it's an airlock, even though you can build a base on planets with breathable atmospheres. And why? Is that so they can sell me a DLC later with good base building? From what I don't know much about Bethesda, but from what I've heard, Fallout 4's base building blows this out of the water, and that kind of...
It was not really, no.
Customization wise, I don't know. I built a base for a minute, and I just realized my base was going to look exactly like everyone else's base, and I turned it off and stopped doing it because it just wasn't fun to me, and I just kept planet hopping.
Yeah, the real bulk of the game, I feel like, since shipbuilding.
The shipbuilding is nuts.
This shipbuilding
really
is where like the game shines.
You can do a lot with the shipbuilder in this game, and I think it's really cool, which is another reason I was so frustrated that I couldn't do it anymore after I...
Like, it was straight up like, oh, there's settlement building, but it feels tacked on and optional.
Yes.
And then you build the landing pad at your settlement, and you get access to every single part.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And all of a sudden, the game opens up.
That's a game changer. I will have to do that.
Yeah.
When
you just have to build the large landing pad with shipbuilder.
Just a heads up, when you enter New Game Plus, which I have done, you lose everything. All you keep are your skills. Yeah. You lose your money, you lose your resources, you lose your guns, you lose your bases, you lose your ships.
So what's the point of a New Game Plus?
As far as I can tell, I don't really know.
I think it changes the plot line. I think it changes the main quest and things act differently.
I don't think
based on what I've read.
I'm pretty sure you get like an option when you go back to restart the main quest. Like that's your only objective when you enter New Game Plus is to go to the lodge. And you can either repeat the main quest or say something different and things will be a little different. But I just can't imagine going through that.
Yeah, I've heard in like New Game Plus, like you go into the lodge and people will just be dead. Everyone will be dead.
Oh, really? That is not what happened for me.
Yeah, like New Game Plus, like after New Game
That's
Plus.
a crazy.
That makes sense,
I can't imagine.
There's a random.
This is a Bethesda game. How does this have a New Game Plus? You know, like when
I
see, I know. So Connor,
I'm not going to.
Please don't. But I'm gonna say, like the way you play games, I think is like the antithesis to how Bethesda wants you to play their games, right? Like you mostly do the main quest, which I feel like that's usually the weakest part of a Bethesda game.
I was like 60-40. I only spent... The main quest is not very long in this game. I spent most of my time not doing the main quest.
Okay, yeah.
Because I knew that was not how to enjoy this game. But I'm glad I played the main quest because those, like... So, the problems with the main quest are that a lot of, like, you collect these artifacts, and a lot of them are just in a cave with some dudes in it. And to get there, you have to fly there, and then the landing site is never close to the cave, so you have to walk to the cave. And then when you get to the cave, you kill a bunch of low-level enemies, and then you grab the artifact and you leave. And then now you have the artifact, you have to go to the temple, which does some other stuff, and you have to play Superman 64 for a while, where you like fly through these stupid things, and it takes... and none of that is fun. But then there's occasionally you fly down to grab an artifact, or... You won't get the coordinates for an artifact. You'll say, hey, we heard there's an artifact in this research lab or something. And you go down to this research lab, and there's this really great little mini story that plays out and actually has pretty good writing and, like, maybe a new mechanic that is exclusive to this place. And you get to fight through it, and it's really neat. And then you are sometimes faced with a moral quandary or something like that. And as I say all the time, they should have cut everything that wasn't that. They should have removed it from the video game. Like... There should be no landing and going in a cave and grabbing an artifact. That shouldn't be in the game. They should have only done the story ones, and the others should have just not been there. I don't know why they left it in, because it's just padding, and this is not a game that needs padding. It has a ton of good content. So I don't know why they would leave any padding in, because there are all these fantastic side missions you can do, and like even some of the like if I just wanted to go in a cave and shoot some guys, there's a lot of procedurally generated opportunities to do that, like, I think are actually pretty fun. And have an opportunity to get some cool guns and stuff.
I think Bethesda is always with, like, the more is more approach, right?
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
So, like, you'll have your kind of tight scripted story missions, you'll have your, like, really cool side quests that take you to interesting places, but then you'll also have, like, all of the kind of barren planets, the procedurally generated stuff that doesn't really have a lot of meat to it.
To be fair, I'm really glad this game did barren planets. And because that's my,
Speaking of barren planets, complaint. I guess minor spoilers, not for you guys, obviously, but when I first went to Earth, I actually, like, gasped. Like,
oh yeah,
I couldn't believe it, you know, and like, it is kind of a weird reaction, right? Because this is just a video game, but like, I felt like sad and scared when I saw Earth, because I was just like, what happened here?
if you look for it, you can figure out why it happened too.
I did see that like the atmosphere kind of got blown away somehow, but I'm not sure how. But
it's actually probably one of the highlights of my playthrough was figuring out what happened to Earth.
Yeah,
that's
definitely
good.
in the back of my mind because like it was such a gut punch when you fly up. It was like, oh, I wonder like how Earth is because like you see all these other planets, how advanced they are. You think like Earth is some kind of utopia, but you go there and it's just dead. And I do think it's a gut punch.
Like there's nothing on Earth, which is weird because Earth is in a bad way, but it is not worse than Mars where there are people. And
yeah, Mars seems pretty miserable.
Mars is exactly as miserable as Earth, but it does have people on it. Yeah. And Earth does not have any people on it for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, like, it was bone chilling, man. I can't emphasize this to you enough because like the first thing I did was land on it, right? Like, and I saw there was desert everywhere, and then I looked up, and then it hit me. There was like, oh my god, there's no atmosphere. And then I took off my helmet and I started dying. And I was like, yep, there's no atmosphere. Like, yeah, man. Like that, like if Starfield can hit me with like a bunch of moments like that, like then this is definitely a special game, even with all the shortcomings. But like,
it can hit you with a few moments like that. I don't know about a bunch.
Yeah, I mean, I really am looking forward to playing more. Like, I wish I had more.
Go
ahead.
Speaking of like bone chilling segments. If you have not done the United Colonies Vanguard storyline, do it.
I'll be checking that out the moment I get a patch, a stability patch.
So good. Like, it plays like a horror game almost, in parts. Because has anyone encountered Terramorphs yet?
One.
No.
Okay, it's based around Terramorphs. The whole plot line is based around Terramorphs and explains what they are and where they came from and everything. No spoilers.
Okay, because it was surprisingly tanky. It said it was only level 4, but it took a lot of bullets to kill.
Yeah, they're the Deathclaw equivalent.
Yeah.
But during the quest line, there's a segment where you have to hunt one down on like an abandoned outpost. And it is attached with a tracking dart, which beeps it as it gets closer. I was playing this at like entry level 3.
Ooh.
I was terrified.
Yeah.
Like, you heard the beeping get faster, and you just stop and just... Oh my god,
so it's like an Alien Isolation kind of thing.
Yeah, it felt like Alien Isolation.
See, that's actually something fascinating.
So good.
This game does just lift stuff from other games in a few different places, and it like does it well enough to be pretty fun.
That's the thing. Like, my impression of this game is that it's just so staggeringly massive, right? Like, and I get that impression just from like walking around on cities. I hear a snippet of a conversation. Oh, all of a sudden I have a side quest,
and you get a quest,
and I'm just
that
like,
actually wears me out.
This is insanity. Like, how deep does this rabbit hole go? Like, how big is this game? And I don't have a sense of that yet, but just from an initial like introduction to that game, landing all these planets, finding all these massive cities on these planets, and then seeing that there's like dozens and dozens of stars that I don't even have the ability to reach yet, I'm like the scope of this game might be beyond anything I've ever played before. It's overwhelming.
My impression is that they want you to do New Game Plus and New Game Plus Plus as well. Although you're obviously probably not doing a ton of side quests on those unless you didn't do them the first time.
What they want for New Game Plus Plus is, you know how people will just start a game of Skyrim.
Yeah, they want you to do this instead.
Yeah, but that's kind of what they want to pick up is, hey, you could just do this, and with Enhance, you can kind of change your character, do whatever you want anyway.
What's Enhance?
Enhance is basically a gene clinic.
Yeah, okay. I found one of those on Mars.
But your
I found one of those on Mars, and I figured it was just a way to change your appearance.
See, I thought with New Game Plus, I thought you would be able to change your background. I won't get into the narrative reasons why I thought that, but
also
you could change your traits, right?
I don't think so. Yeah, I
think you could do it in Enhance.
Okay,
I'm not sure.
I didn't see any menus at all going into New Game Plus.
So I have a question.
It was all cinematic.
Does your background matter at all?
It has some uses. Like, I had a soldier option pop up.
Yeah, and I've had scavenger
during the UC quest line.
Okay, that's cool.
It matters in dialogue. Like, it'll pop up in dialogue beyond your starting skills, and it's very nice when it does.
I also want to say, again, no Baldur's Gate, but the persuasion mechanics in this game are very fun. I actually skipped the final boss.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, persuasion is actually
the persuasion.
People are mad that it's a dice
roll.
It
seemed
but
kind of clunky to me.
It's fine
from the few times I've had to do it. I'm just like I don't really know if I understand it. It's just like you have like low risk options and high risk options, and like maybe you'll succeed on some. You have like a better chance on the low risk. And like just the way it works, like actually spoken out loud with the NPC, it's kind like I don't know. It's a little awkward to me, but maybe it'll grow on me.
The lack of a voice protagonist also rocks.
Oh yeah, I love that.
I didn't realize how much I missed it.
No, I mean that's a Bethesda staple, right? Like they never have a voice protagonist, and
they did in Fallout 4, didn't they?
They did, and it was a bad idea.
Oh, they did, didn't they? I forgot about that.
Now I'm like, I am my character. I am.
No, I love that.
I am the space
I hope
fan.
they never. Yeah, please, Elder Scrolls 6. I don't want to hear myself talk. Like
please. I think they're done with it forever, though. I think Fallout 4 was their only experiment with it.
Just like how I never want to hear like Link talk beyond grunts.
Yeah, it's a staple.
Starfield makes me very optimistic for Elder Scrolls 6. In 20
years. I mean, did you? Todd Howard said that they are aiming to create like the ultimate fantasy world with Elder Scrolls 6, whatever that means. But like seeing the kind of ambition on display in Starfield, like even taking into account everything that works, everything that doesn't work, you can tell that if nothing else, Bethesda has leveled up their ambition. Like what they're trying to do with Starfield is pretty ridiculous. And if they up that with Elder Scrolls, that's something to look forward to.
Yeah, I might step on my soapbox here for my lengthy rant, but I don't think people realize how bad unmodded vanilla Skyrim was.
Yes,
because
100%.
It has been 10 years since people have played vanilla Skyrim.
The people that are saying that like this game is not as good as Skyrim, I implore you, go back and play it. Like because Skyrim is
don't
fun.
Install any mods.
But, oh my god,
it's not great on vanilla.
It is the only thing that Skyrim absolutely beats Starfield in is that like yes, you can just walk in a random direction and you will find something eventually. Obviously, Starfield could not give you that because it has 1,000 planets.
Right.
Like it's the only problem.
But you can just fly off in a random direction. And you'll see, like, hey, this planet has a town on it. I can go there.
Okay, wait, question. So can you just fly from planet to planet? Because I tried that, and I couldn't do it, and I was very upset.
No, you gotta go through menus.
That
it's all
sucks.
Menus,
you gotta go through menus.
You can point.
I think it's engine limitations.
Yeah, and I have a diatribe about that, but real quick, you can point your ship at a planet and hit A, and then hit X to immediately bring up a map of that planet and choose a landing site.
Yeah, I've done that, but, like... very early on, I went to the solar system, and I was like, all right, I'm going to fly to, like, Jupiter. And as I flew there, like, the distance marker didn't decrease at all. It was just like, I don't know if this is, like, a limitation of my ship or something, but,
you can never do that.
Yeah, that's disappointing. That's, like, see, that's another thing where I'm like, there's so much cool stuff in this game, but, like, it's just, like, these little immersion breaking things do add up to me.
No, and the main quest is bad about this, but so are like the Ryujin side quest, where you are like a Ryujin employee. A great deal of that quest was open my menu, fast travel to planet, talk to guy, open my menu, fast travel back.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm experiencing right now too. And like, don't get me wrong, it's a
lot of the game.
I think it's cool, like on like a meta level that you're on another planet doing like corporate grunt work. Just the fact that that's happening is kind of neat. But like the actual act of doing it, like it hasn't been too, like the side quests haven't been like Witcher or Baldur's Gate level to me yet. And granted, still super early on, but like I was kind of expecting an improvement there.
I didn't experience that with the UC, but that's because the UC kept pulling surprises out of it. It tell you about a character or it tell you about something that happened in the past, and then it's like, oh, they're dead now or whatever. And then like 3 missions later, you're like, wait a second, they're not?
I think the best parts of this game are the ones where you land on a planet and you're there for a while. Like... When it does, like, you're not opening menus all the time for a little bit.
Yeah,
like some of the later
the sense of
stuff,
place and the sense of scale, like when you're like you said, on a location without having to move around too much is like top notch. Some of the best to ever do it, I think.
The thing that does frustrate me is that, like, I kind of had to police my own immersion because there was actually, like, a really cool novelty to, like, hey, I've been on this planet a really long time, but I finished the mission. Time to walk back to my ship and watch the takeoff cutscene, because all of that is skippable. If you just fast travel to another planet, you won't see that cutscene.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
And so, like, it's kind of... I want to see that. Like, I want, like,
on
this planet forever.
See, and
it's time
I think
to get
that's
back on the ship.
That in itself, I think the game deserves some credit for that, because the fact that it makes me want to feel immersed is a merit. Because, like, if it wasn't immersive, it wouldn't do that, right? Like, when I landed on Neon, you know what the first thing I did was? Checked into a hotel. I was just like, oh, really? This is where I'm going to sleep for the next week, you know? Like,
that's funny.
And it was just neat. It felt neat to do that. And there's, like, something weird going on with the hotel, too, and I'm trying to figure that out. So it's just, like, I don't know. Like, this game is packed to the gills where, like, if you turn a corner, if you, like, check every nook and cranny, you'll find something. A little story, a little quest.
Even, so, what's interesting, I don't know if this was procedurally generated. I thought it was at first, but I was just flying past a planet. I got a little, like, alert that, like, somebody needed my help. I landed, and there's, like, this little research facility that had, like, it had the Marines and it had the other group, the Free Star Militia or something.
Free Star Collective?
Yeah, and normally they don't get along, but, like, they were both getting attacked by spacers, and so I go in and I Doomslayer, I kill all the guys, and then I help them get along, and it was like this whole solar system that I had to go to a spacer base and, like, shoot them to blow up their ships so they couldn't attack. And then, while I was gone, they started attacking the other guys again. I had to fly back and help them, and there was a whole, like, a set piece battle where, like, I had my allies and then I had all these spacers to kill, and that was actually, like, a really fun line. And at the time, I thought that was procedurally generated because none of that really feels like it couldn't have been. But I honestly have no idea if it was or not. If it was, like, huge props, because that is, like, I remember it. That's really cool. That's like the best thing procedural generation can do, is make you remember something. And I liked that quest line. It's one of my favorites I did, because it was because I wasn't in menus the whole time. I spent, my time on this planet, and then I had to go to one other planet and do some ship battles, which are kind of fun. I don't think they're the best part of the game, but they are fun. And then come back and do some shooting again. And it was neat because I landed my ship and I had to hurry because they were already attacking as I was landing my ship, and I could kind of see that and do some stuff based on it. It was great.
I do think the gunplay in this game is better.
It's good.
It's better than Fallout, and it's actually serviceable. Like, it feels good, which is a first for a Bethesda game.
Sure, people are bullet sponges, but, like, they're not that bullet spongy yet.
The best combat in this game, in my opinion, is when it's easy. I think the bullet sponginess gets really annoying. I think when you have a really strong gun and the time to kill is pretty short, that's when this game is at its best, in my opinion. Like, I had an assault rifle that was, like, 2 or 3 shotting most of my enemies for, like, the majority of the game, and that was great. I was having a very good time. I was dying pretty quick if I got myself in a bad situation, too, and that's just how I like to play. And then there were enemies that were bullet sponges, but because they were few and far between, I didn't mind so much.
Yeah.
It's also just narratively, a bullet sponge in, like, an armored spacesuit bothers me less than a bullet sponge in rags in a Fallout game.
Right, yeah.
And I've never been able to get around that in my head. It's one of the reasons I can't stand Fallout. The other is I hate the way those games look. And I love the way Starfield looks. Have you guys been to the casino?
No.
There's a I forget what, it's in orbit somewhere.
That's
and it's
so
a zero
cool.
gravity casino.
See, like, stuff like that, it just, I feel like there's so many treasures to be uncovered playing this game. So many, like, neat places to see and things to do. That's just the sense I get from the outside looking in,
It's totally missable. Like,
that's awesome.
I don't even think there's, like, a message. It's like, hey, there's a ship here. If you hail it, nothing happens. It ends up being like a little space station. You dock to it, you realize there's no gravity, but it's like this beautiful golden light, because it's like a casino, and it's very gaudy. And then you go in and you realize it's full of spacers, and you have to fight them. And then there's like even like a little secret to find that I won't spoil, but like totally missable secret. Like if you're not very carefully combing over everything, you'll probably miss it. And it's not that good, but I felt very good for finding it. The intrinsic motivation was much stronger than the extrinsic reward. And I actually really love every time this game used zero-G. It isn't quite what I prefer, which is 6 degrees of freedom, like where you can actually like spin and rotate and everything. I think that would have really sold it. And it's not even an engine limitation that they couldn't do it, because the ships could do it. So I'm not really sure why you couldn't do it on foot. But it's pretty good. The zero-G stuff, it was fun. There were situations where like it kind of felt like the thing I like about being able to spin is that you can get into a weird orientation where like the wall is down and stuff. And there were a couple of times where the game just did that for you. Like it felt like you were walking on the side of a station instead, or floating along the side instead of the floor being down. And so that kind of did it for me. I really enjoyed those parts. I wish there was more of it, because it really didn't come up very often. And you can't go on spacewalks outside your ship for some reason. I don't really understand.
I think there's a mod out that lets you do that.
Not even a mod. It is 2 console commands to do it.
Yep.
You just set gravity to 0 and move your player outside the ship. And everything just kind of works. You can float around.
Now, I will say, I'm kind of sick and tired of seeing people using other games in completely different genres to beat games with.
Yes.
Like, there was a video of comparing, like, Cyberpunk with Starfield. And I'm like, that's asinine.
Not the same game.
The same as if I took Chrono Trigger and said, yeah, it's the same thing as Baldur's Gate.
No, that's why I'm not, like...
Same game.
I think the space travel in Kerbal Space Program is actually more realistic than Starfield.
It's not... It's bad discourse, and it's becoming more prevalent, too.
Yeah, and I think Starfield, Starfield does enough to separate itself from reality that like the weirder stuff about the ship travel doesn't bother me, like with the grav drives and stuff. They do enough narrative like separating themselves from reality that I don't think we touched on this concept in the Baldur's Gate episode, but every time like a big darling game releases, everyone proceeds to use that darling game to beat other studios with, as we are doing with Baldur's Gate now. As we were doing with Baldur's Gate now. Yeah, and it's so wild that let people enjoy things. I hear you. Just because it's not. It's only the direct comparisons.
There's some things invite comparisons, right?
Like the voice acting in Baldur's Gate changed the game for me. It is so good, and the voice acting, there are moments in Starfield that feel good, especially Barrett's voice actor I feel like is a standout. There were moments where Barrett felt...
So is Sam Coe's.
Sam Coe, his voice actor's fine. I hate that character. I find him very annoying.
I like his voice actor because he's a very recognizable voice.
Hey, so here's a question.
Yeah, he was in Deus
Ex. Is it worth
Human Revolution, Mankind Divided?
Is it worth like investing in companions?
No.
It depends.
Like recruiting, because so I can't stand Sarah already.
Sarah's insufferable.
Sam
and she like keeps showing up because I guess I haven't gotten far enough in the main story. Like I tell her to stay somewhere, or like I tried to go our separate ways, and she just like won't go away.
Your first Constellation mission, didn't
What's
you?
That?
Yeah, you picked up your first Constellation mission. You got to finish that mission.
I picked it up, but like I didn't do it. So now she's just around.
If you do that mission, it's just that one.
She's permanent.
Okay. And like I was just like,
I pretty much kept Vasco with me all the time because he doesn't talk too much.
And I did notice like if you go to like, space bars and stuff, you can recruit companions there, and I was just like, so like are these like
crew?
I was confused, like are there actual like companions like Baldur's Gate, or like are you just hiring random people that have different stats?
We have to differentiate between crew and companions because I believe crew affects stats on your ship.
Okay.
Companions have their own set of stats, so if they have like energy weapon specializations, they do more damage.
So Sarah is a companion, right?
And she can be a crew member as well. She can do both.
Companions can be crew, but crew cannot be companions.
Okay, that's good to know. So I haven't met any other companions yet.
Outpost crew.
Every companion for me was Constellation. I don't think there were any others.
There's others. I think you like some crew you can use as companions as well, but they're just not good as companions.
I wouldn't spend money on them personally. I would just do some Constellation missions and get the free ones. Like, Barrett is kind of nice. He's just fine. Sarah got on my nerves a little. She warmed up to me. I liked Andreja. She was nice. I don't know if you'd have met him yet, or her.
I haven't met anyone but Sarah. And
yeah,
I'm kind of sick of Sarah.
Yeah.
I've met Andrea.
I like Andrea. I like her background and everything. I kept her around a lot of the time. She was another voice actress that was pretty convincing. There was just stuff like... There were just scenes that... I don't know. There were scenes that felt very wooden. Pretty much any of the, like, when I'm just walking around the ship and they say stuff. Or like, hey, I need to talk to you.
It's the same Bethesda sort of like kind of zoom into their profile. They have like a kind of neutral expression on their face. That's like what they've been doing since like Morrowind, and that has not really changed. So
speaking of, I just want I don't know when this is going to come up. I was waiting for it to come naturally, but if anyone who has complained about this game being in the creation engine, if you are not a game developer who has worked with the creation engine before, shut up. Just stop.
Literally.
Shut up. No, it is not the Morrowind engine in 2023. Like, it has evolved just as much as any other engine, maybe not as well, but like they are not using an engine from the 90s or
that wouldn't even like that wouldn't do anything.
They're not using the same engine. It's the same underlying script from Oblivion.
Yeah, but like Unreal 5 can be traced back to Unreal 1.
Exactly,
that's just how software works. Like, it's not like the bugginess of this game. Like, tools are tools. The bugginess of this game is not because it is in the creation or create engine. I don't actually know what it's called.
Creation.
Okay, that's probably part of why it's buggy. But like, just slapping it in Unreal instead, it's the same developers. It's the same. They're going to be building the same scale of world. Like, it's choices that
it's something about Bethesda's process, their development process.
But like, changing to Unreal Engine does not solve these problems. Not meaningfully.
Yeah, it's the way they actually make these features. Something about them, right? Like, I obviously we can't know what it is unless you work with Bethesda. But that I'm willing to bet that's what it is.
I'm just sick at, like, I listened to the Besties episode about this, and I was actually shocked. The Besties did not like this game, which is fascinating because very brave of them, because they actually recorded all their takes and everything before the review embargo was out, so they did not know what the popular consensus was going to be. So props to them for, like, saying how they felt and everything. And I think all their criticisms of the game are valid, but one of them went on a rant about the Create engine, and you're just wrong. You do not know what you're talking about. Like, that's not how that's not how software engineering works.
You have never touched the tools, have never interacted with them. What gives you the right to talk about it as if you have worked with the tools?
Yeah, it's just such a... And I'm guilty of this. I remember, because I was in high school, I was like 15 or whatever. No, 2011? What was I? I would have been 14, I think, when Skyrim came out. And I was like, oh, it's buggy because they're using the Morrowind engine. It's X years old, whatever. And like, no, it doesn't have nothing to do with it, but it's not the reason. Like, it's not, you can't just change your engine and like have a better game. It's a tool set. That's all it is a set of tools that you use to make your game. And if you make it like Bethesda
what I'm really
does,
interested in is, like, I kind of want to look up and see who their, like, lead programmer is or whatever, and if that has stayed the same for the past couple decades, because that would be kind of...
I can't imagine.
The explanation, right?
Yeah.
But...
I mean, it's just the scale, I think. Like, these are huge teams.
Yeah, but I don't buy that either, though. Like...
Oh, yeah, no, that's not why it's buggy, but, like...
Yeah, I really think it's something about the Bethesda process.
I think the Bethesda
isn't as efficient or isn't...
Yeah, I think, like, I remember reading an interview, I think it was from Pete Hines, like, a decade ago. But I think their philosophy is if a bug isn't game-breaking, and if it's just funny, they'll keep it in.
I think you're right. I think they're just not interested in polish.
They don't care. And then that's fine. Yeah. Like, there's nothing harmful about an NPC sitting in a chair slowly ascending to orbit. That's just funny. Like, it's immersion breaking, but if you want to get rid of it, there's options. There's going to be an unofficial patch mod in like a month and a half. Like,
I got less of that in this game than any other Bethesda game. I got the most game-breaking and crashes in this of any Bethesda game I've played, but there was a lot less just random goofiness in this game than there was in Skyrim.
Like the horses in Skyrim. The fact that if you tilt it just right and get off the horse, you can sail across the skies. That's not game-breaking, so they never fixed it.
No,
it's just funny.
Yeah. And there are other developers that I feel are way overzealous in fixing bugs like that are like cool for speedruns or something. Like Nintendo has been extremely overzealous historically in fixing bugs that only speedrunners would possibly use. And Bethesda would never do you like that. I don't know. I wonder what my opinion of this game would be if I hadn't crashed so much. I think I would like it more, but I do think it's just a pretty good game. Like it's not one of the greats, but it is genuinely a very fun game to turn your brain off.
Yeah, I'm definitely too early to have like a concrete opinion, but what I see right now is just like endless possibility, which I guess
I've seen a slight undercurrent, and it's mostly PlayStation owners being mad that it's not theirs. And it's just mad. The console wars are so a decade ago. Like, get over it. Just buy a PC.
It is weird to see a Bethesda game caught up in that, though, because it is true that it does not have the level of polish of a first-party PlayStation game. This is,
but also, like, here's the thing: let Xbox have one. Come on,
literally.
Look at all the great, crazy stuff you've had over the years, and look at Xbox's catalog. Like, let them have this. Like Starfield is probably going to be better than any first-party PlayStation game released this year, and that's fine. Just let it happen.
Let it happen.
I think it is apples and oranges, obviously, but I think that Starfield can stand next to like Uncharted, like the first one. Like the Uncharted can stand. It is a vastly different. Yeah, it does not follow the somewhat cookie cutter process of a PlayStation first party game, for better or worse. Starfield does not adhere to that in any. Starfield does not adhere to that in any way. But like quality wise, like if we're really just rating, like if we're gonna give it points for playtime and breadth and everything, it can stand next to those things for sure.
Yeah, it can totally stand up to anything like a PlayStation exclusive. Not in the level of polish, but in pure gameplay and fun.
Just the experience. We were talking about the experience, right? Like at the end of the day, that's what matters. And it's just
I could see somebody buying an Xbox for this.
This game is going to sell tons of Xboxes. Like, are you kidding?
I'm kind of glad to see like an undercurrent in gaming where we're trying to get away from like games as serious storytelling media, because there's been an oversaturation of that in a while, and there's a place for it. But not every AAA game needs to tell a serious story.
That's the beautiful thing about video games, is that they can be that and Starfield and anything else. There's such a versatile. You can do whatever you want in a video game.
You can have your Grammy bait, but you can also have your Armored Cores, your Ace Combats, your Starfields, just games that are fun. There's a place for those, and if you don't think there is, then I'm sorry, you're in the wrong medium. Like,
I agree that there's a place for them. I don't necessarily agree that they're becoming less common than they ever were before.
I've noticed in the AAA sphere the last couple years, it's been kind of hard.
Well, there's just fewer games. It takes longer to make a game now. I think that's a big part of it. Like,
and the shooter side,
there was a time when we were getting
shooters are all becoming Call of Duties. Like it's real bad.
No, I think we're in an era of storytelling that is not unlike the Brown era that we talked about with like the Xbox 360.
I mean, from my perspective, like, and this is a little off topic, but I think, and we've mentioned this before on the show, this is definitely a golden age, right? Because like you do have your story-based games, but look at everything else. Like literally any type of game you can imagine is getting made, and there's good examples for every genre. Like
there's also just
it's just a really good time to be into video games from my perspective.
I feel like what Mike is saying about story games is like video games that want to be a movie, like they want to be cinematic and everything. Whereas like when I think of a story game, like the first game I thought of when I thought of a story game, which is a game telling a beautiful story I actually thought of Unpacking, which is like not a cinematic game at all. That's a game that was on Game Pass. It got released a couple years ago.
I think Mike's talking about like the third-person action adventure story,
Uncharted-esque cinema.
Yeah, and those games are good, but there are a lot of people trying to do that right now. I do agree.
It's getting oversaturated. It's like modern military shooters in the early 10s. Everyone wanted to do one, and not everyone could do it well, and so eventually you oversaturated. And some studios like Naughty Dog are focusing on them to a fault.
I don't want Naughty Dog to do anything else. They're doing.
They're the masters of that genre, though.
But Jak and Daxter,
like no one does it better than Naughty Dog.
I want another Sly Cooper game.
Jak and Daxter. So here's the thing: we're getting a Jak and Daxter movie, which tells me we're almost assuredly getting a game.
We're getting a movie?
Like we have to be getting a game.
Yeah, they're getting a movie.
Guess who? Starring who?
Tom Holland.
Chris Pratt and Tom Holland.
Oh, no.
God,
no.
That movie's already bad.
The movie's gonna suck.
I think we've reached the end of Naughty Dog's golden age, and now they're in the age of selling out. Because there's no
I think you're wrong. Their games are still like, I don't like The Last of Us, but it is good. No. I do like The Last of Us. I don't think it's as good as everybody says.
If they keep releasing movies,
but they're
though,
good games.
They haven't released a game.
Come on, Mike. Naughty Dog's not the one releasing the movies. They're just consulting.
They signed off the paper.
Wait, what other movie have they?
Naughty Dog isn't in the the sweat mines. CGI animating Daxter.
I will not allow them to release another Uncharted movie. Please.
Oh, they did do the Uncharted movie. I'd forgotten about it completely. But The Last of Us show was so good.
The Last of Us show was good, but just you wait until The Last of Us movie starring Tom Holland and Chris Pratt.
Dude, The Last of Us season 2
Tom Holland as Ellie.
Chris Pratt playing Joel and Tom Holland as Ellie.
It's gonna happen. I'm calling it. Mark my words.
Oh man.
I can't wait for the Starfield movie.
I don't think Bethesda will license off their
what would that even be? Like 1,000-hour
Yeah. It would have to be AI based, like AI Seinfeld style.
AI generated Starfield movie.
Is Sucker Punch working on anything? Speaking of studios, PlayStation Studios,
they're probably doing Ghost of Tsushima too. I would imagine. They
have so many good IP staples that they kind of left in the dark. All the
Here's the thing, though,
studios have.
I don't think anything's left in the. I think everything's on the table at all times. And it's just a matter of when things come up. I
legitimately don't think we are.
Here's the thing. I love Infamous, and I agree with you. I think they should make another Infamous yesterday. But I do think that someday we'll see it. I just don't think they're done with that franchise.
I don't think we get an Infamous on the PS5, and I don't think it's a technical limitation. I think something.
It's because Sucker Punch struck gold with Ghost of Tsushima, so they want to do that for a little bit. Fine, but
I don't think it's just that. I think Infamous got really samey, and something game design wise needs to shake up.
Infamous Second Son was kind of just mid. Infamous and Infamous 2 were fantastic. Yeah, they were great games. But Infamous Second Son was just a prettier, watered down
not
version
to mention
of those games.
Sly Cooper. There's no place for mascots anymore. They're all gone.
We got a Sly Cooper game not that long ago. We got and it did really bad. Sly 4.
And there was a Crash game not too long ago. That's what I'm saying. It might not be with the same frequency as the 90s, but everything is here. Everything is happening at once.
The Jak and Daxter has been, I think, 20
Jak and Daxter
now.
has been a while, but you can they've got to put something out with the movie. There's just no way.
I know they're gonna do a remake of the first one, just like they did with the Ratchet and Clank.
I'd love for them to do either a remake of the first one or just remake the whole trilogy.
I've never played. I have the first Jak and Daxter, and I find it extremely boring.
The trilogy's a lot. The other two next two games are an improvement upon the first.
That's what I've heard.
No, I have a very fond place in my heart for Jak and Daxter. Even the first one, I love that game. I've beaten it so many times.
But
see, I was 20 years old when I got it. So
I was I was 9 or 10, I think. I don't know. I was really young.
It just feels very dated. I mean, it feels like the most technically advanced possible version of this idea, but the idea itself feels very dated.
We're about to experience indie game death, so gaming's about to get rough.
Godot's there. But that's another thing we wanted to bring up is Unity has unveiled today that they plan on charging developers per customer install. Not even that. Of their game.
I've later clarified that it's on reinstall as well.
Which is so
that's awful.
That's wild.
That's
man.
Not okay.
That is punishing the developer for piracy potentially, for gray market keys, for someone like me who has a PC, a laptop, and a Steam Deck. I often install a game 3 times, or even more than that, because sometimes like I don't have enough hard drive space because I want to play Call of Duty and it's 800 gigs, so I have to delete all my games to make room for it.
Just don't understand.
When I remember Call of Duty's bad and I uninstall it. And
I don't understand what Unity is doing because, like, obviously developers are just going to go like, okay, bye, and go to like Unreal or something, right? Like, what is it about Unity that, you know, like why do they think they can pull this off is what I'm asking.
So something you have to know about Unity and Unreal is that they haven't really been targeting game developers as their core audience for a long time. Unity is actually popular Unity and Unreal both are very popular in anywhere that you need to see 3D imaging, and including the Department of Defense in a pretty big way. Unity and Unreal are both used there, and that's a lot of money for them. And also in film, Unreal especially, but Unity as well, I think, gets used in the film creation process, and there's a lot of money there. And that's been frustrating game developers for a long time, is that they are not prioritized in the development pipeline. And that's one of the reasons Godot is getting very popular, is because Godot doesn't do either of those things. Godot is open source and only game development. So
yeah, it's wild that Unity has attained enough market share to just be able to just do what they want. And it's going to the term.
Well, yeah, if what you're saying is true, Connor, that like if their main audience now is non-gaming related, then I guess it won't matter to them too much. But like, I don't know if I believe that.
That's not what I meant.
Yeah,
I don't think their main audience is not gaming. I think their main priority is not gaming
because they see more growth in those other places or something.
Yeah, I think they already have gaming, if that makes sense.
But like I don't know, like that's the thing, like.
The word I was looking for was back.
I think they're in for a rude awakening. Let me just put it that way. Like, I think they can pull this off, but I don't think they can.
Yeah, Unity does not want to lose the indie audience, and they have overnight. Like, I will not at this point. Like, I don't make successful video games, but I'm not going to make a Unity game. This rule is an immediate, like, I installed Unreal Engine today. Like, I'm not going to use Unity anymore. This was an insane thing to do.
And by all accounts, like, Unreal just seems like the better tool. Like,
that is a complicated discussion.
let me retract that. It seems like the more favored tool amongst a lot of high-profile game developers. That's what it seems like to me. I don't know about the indie scene, but
Unreal has things like Nanite and Lumen.
Yeah,
that they're very powerful technologies, especially in the AAA space. And it also... Unreal loses on user friendliness, in my opinion. And granted, I have not used Unreal in a long time. The last time I used it was probably 2019, and I was just fooling around in it. I'm not Unity certified, but I've taken a Unity certification class. I just didn't want to pay $80 to take the test. So Unity is, like, very easy for me. But I even, like, before that, like, Unity just feels very user-friendly in a way that Unreal never did to me.
I think the last thing I want to add is Steam's now 20 years old.
Oh my god, yeah, that's going on today.
Steam account is now 20 years old. It like a force in gaming has been around for 2 decades.
I did not hop on Steam for the first 10 years. I think it was probably 2013.
Let me check.
I kind of want to check.
There's a badge, a profile badge. I have 12 years.
Yeah.
Over half.
I want to say I'm at least 10 years.
Yeah, I got my 12-year badge.
I can't remember. I think I got my Steam account so that I could play Terraria.
I don't even remember. Why did I get my Steam account?
I was for
like it's. I mean, it's too long ago at this point. Like, I have no idea.
How do I check badges?
Like, I didn't seriously start using it until like Civilization, but
Mike, I'm a boomer.
It's on your profile, and then badges.
I click badges and it's
years of service, right?
Yeah, it's years of service badge.
Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, then you hit completed badges.
Yep, members since April 11th, 2013.
Yeah, I was April.
So maybe that was for Civilization. Oh my god, I think that's what it was. I think it was for Civilization 5,
Civ 5
that I got a Steam account.
The big one, because it was the first Civ that was sold on Steam.
I think
2010.
That's it. Yeah.
I got it for Terraria. Yeah, 13 years ago.
Time just flies way too quickly.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Do you guys know how hated Steam was when it first came out?
No one wanted Steam, and now Steam's so ubiquitous.
Well, it was
interesting. That's the thing. Like back then, no one wanted like online storefronts, and now
no one wanted.
Now look,
nobody wanted it. It was DRM when it came out. That was what it was for. It was a DRM essentially, and it still is at its core. Steam is DRM, but they've just added so much user friendliness to it that people will gladly use it and will fight to the death to avoid the Epic installer or the Origin or anything else.
I'm only using Steam. I'm not using Epic.
Those other platforms are annoying. Well, the worst one is unfortunately the Game Pass. Game Pass's app is terrible.
If your Windows is not updated, it won't even let you download games without crashing.
Well, why is your Windows
mine had a bug in the system. I had to manually install the update, but I fixed it.
Oh, okay, because that's like a security hazard.
You should. It wasn't that out of date. It was like a couple months, but it was enough. Now my system has had some weird corruption issues here and there.
But now Steam has things like remote play and big picture mode, which I love. And I just as an aside, another dunk on Xbox. How does Xbox not have a big picture mode? How is there no controller UI for Xbox on PC? What are you guys doing?
That's crazy to me. Especially because like PC is becoming your main audience. Xbox, like you are not doing so hot on the console front, but you are doing hot on like the software front. So like you got to get on that.
It's very strange. I am convinced that eventually there's just going to be a way to download Game Pass games through Steam. I think they're going to come to an agreement. I really think that's a strong possibility, and that'll give me Steam Deck access as well. So I'm really hoping that's the case. Although Game Pass also insists on using UWP instead of EXE, and that comes with its own whole host of things, like not being able to run Starfield script extender, so I can't do some of the bigger Starfield mods.
Yeah, you have. I have to buy it on Steam to do mods.
Yes.
Oh no, my plan foiled.
So RIP $70.
Wait, so you guys haven't been modding Starfield?
I have not installed a single mod. No.
That's wild.
And I will say,
I've got the FSR bridge mod to use DLSS. I've got what else have I got?
I don't know what your beef. FSR2, I came across 2 FSR2
Dude,
bugs.
It was disgusting. I could not tolerate it.
Dude, I think you're sick in the head. Like this, it looks great.
No, it was like jagged. The edges were jagged and everything. And DLSS smoothed all that out. Dude,
I don't have that at all.
Well, maybe it's because you have oh no, you don't have an AMD GPU, do you?
Yeah, I do. I have a 7900 XT.
Oh, I thought you had a 4090. Okay, then that might be why. I don't know.
No, because it's all software side.
FSR they say that, but I don't know.
I mean, it's open source. You can look at it.
I feel like there's some AMD GPU magic happening there.
I promise there's not. It's just. I mean, your settings might have been messed up, but
I don't know, man. This was. Look at the Digital Foundry video. They had the same thing that I saw. They showed it in their video. Where it was
FSR2 is not as good as DLSS 3. That's just true. But
it's not as good as DLSS 2. Not even close.
I think you have to be looking very close to see a difference.
I mean, I was sitting pretty close, and I was playing it on a monitor, so maybe that's why.
But you have to be looking. There were 2 examples I saw that I'm pretty sure were FSR bugs that were really bad, which was that scrolling text, in New Atlantis, there's a board with text sliding across it, unreadable because of FSR, I'm pretty sure. And then there was one area in Neon City where everything had a weird glow around it that I also think was an FSR error.
Yeah, and you just don't get that with DLSS. It's just better in every way.
Well, that is entirely based on implementation. That is not an FSR issue. That is a Bethesda issue. FSR2 can be almost as good as DLSS2. It'll never be as good, but it can be very close.
All right, I'll believe it when I see it.
I mean, there are examples like Spider-Man. Spider-Man on PC, FSR2, actually was better than DLSS 2, I think, because of the implementation. They messed up their DLSS. And it was if you would run behind a fence, I think DLSS would freak out. I think they fixed it eventually with their DLSS 3 update. But when it on release, FSR2 was far more stable in Spider-Man than DLSS was. They're just tools. Again, like everything else, like the engine. It's just a tool, and if you use it bad, it looks bad.
Well, I guess based off that, it's being used bad in way more places than DLSS is. Let me just say that.
I mean, FSR2 is not in that many games. Like, Baldur's Gate is FSR1.
Yeah, and FSR1 looks like duty, for sure.
FSR1 looks like Dookie. It's literally just, like, your TV probably has better upscaling than FSR1. FSR1 is extremely bad.
Yeah. FSR3, though, looking forward to seeing that.
FSR3 is, early impressions are that it's better than DLSS 3 from what I've seen.
And that, if that's true, that would be fantastic because that's software.
Yeah, because yeah, and it's driver level. So, or certain parts of it are driver level. So any game that is DirectX 12 or 11, I think, could have FSR3 without the developers doing anything.
Yeah, that's a game changer.
That's a game changer for Steam Deck for sure.
I mean, that's a game changer for consoles too, like Xbox, PlayStation.
Yeah,
those are going to be using FSR.
That's another thing. I don't understand why Starfield shipped without FSR3. I think that's crazy.
I thought for sure FSR3 was going to come out with this game, but it didn't.
Because FSR3 comes out like this month.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And Bethesda and Starfield were not on their list of partners. So as far as we know, there's no update coming.
Wild.
Yeah. Like Forspoken is getting FSR3.
The new Nintendo Switch will be using DLSS. Did you guys hear about that?
No.
Like, it was shown behind closed doors at Gamescom, apparently. And
interesting.
They called they did that. Remember that Matrix demo?
Yeah.
That ran on like PS5 and Xbox? They did that on the Switch. And it could run that at 30 FPS with DLSS. And they said the visuals were comparable to like a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X, which is kind of wild to me.
At what resolution?
That's the question. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because that matters a lot.
But even if it's at 1080, right? Like, the fact that's a monumental power increase for Nintendo.
Yeah, it is.
So that's
not
kind of wild.
1080p screen on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've been partnered with Nvidia, like the Switch.
Right. Yeah.
Because the Switch is I don't think AMD has anything that runs on the architecture the Switch is on.
No.
The Switch is running
it's running like a custom Nvidia.
It's ARM.
Yeah.
So yeah. So AMD just doesn't even have a leg in that race. I don't think DLSS was really their only option.
Exciting times.
Yeah.
All right.
Have you guys used XeSS ever while we're on the topic?
I think I might have tried it in like it's an option in Baldur's Gate, right?
No.
It's not? Okay, then I haven't.
It's just it's the Intel version of FSR, and I have no opinion on it. I genuinely couldn't see the difference, so I used FSR.
Yeah.
that was it. I forget what game it was in. Oh, I think it was in Fortnite. And I couldn't tell, so I didn't use it. I don't know. I hate the Nvidia like DLSS bandwagon because I do think it's way overblown.
I'm definitely on that bandwagon from the limited experiences I've had. Granted, I'm not a PC gamer, so
it is better, but it's just so like it's better, and now nobody wants to give AMD a chance, and that's extremely frustrating because that is why a 4090 is $2,000. Like, it's because people are going to buy it so they can use DLSS. Even though it is on a hardware level worse, and the price is just they're just pulling it out of nowhere. Like it's insane.
Yeah.
So it's very frustrating to me. Even though I was Nvidia for a long time, I rocked the 1070 for a long time, and that was a great card for me.
Yeah, I've been team Nvidia for a while, but it's very weird.
AMD's catching up though. Like the reason I originally bought a 1070 was because historically, not only was AMD like a worse experience software wise, but I had an RX 280 X or something, like an old AMD card. And sometimes a new game would come out and it straight up wouldn't launch on my machine for weeks because AMD wouldn't have their drivers out yet.
Crazy.
Like, yeah. So they've come so far.
Yeah.
And I really do think not DLS. I think FSR 3 is going to be a monumental shift. I think it's going to be a huge deal. Largely just because it's going to be in a lot of stuff. Like DLSS still isn't even in that many games. They're always bragging about it, but
I'm excited to try it.
Games. Yeah, me too. Just having it in all my old games that are DirectX 11 or 12, that's a huge upgrade. I still had something I wanted to say about Starfield.
Yeah, I was gonna say something about Starfield.
I wasn't done. That game needs a motorcycle so bad.
It
needs some sort of land vehicle, right?
Because like, I do not understand this, because even in the custom made content, your ship will land like over 500 meters away from anything interesting. And the first time, it was neat, like walking through this desolate planet and everything, but that's all it is. It is literally walking across an open field, and it is visually stunning, yes, but oh my god, you spend a lot of time walking in this game. And you can't choose where to park your ship. Like, you can't land closer. Why can't I land closer?
I think
like,
if this game had, and I know we just talked about comparing games, but I'm going to do it anyway, but if this game had, like, No Man's Sky's seamless planet transitions, it would do so much for me.
It would do a lot. I don't think it needs it.
It doesn't need it. It doesn't need it.
I do think this is Todd Howard's most Todd Howard game ever.
I just need the cutscenes to play every time. I do agree that it's the most Todd Howard game of all time.
Yeah, and I actually agree with you a lot, Connor, that if they had used those cutscenes to mask the load times, I would have been like 1,000% okay with that. Like,
yes,
and my immersion probably wouldn't have been broken at all.
Can you imagine playing this game on a hard drive though?
Is it even playable on a hard drive?
Like, I don't think it is.
I don't know, but like even if it ran fine on a hard drive, the load times, like, because this game will make you sit, it'll make you sit through a load time for no reason all the time. Like, you can't fly straight to your destination. You have to fly to a random star with nothing, like an empty solar system on the way to your destination. And there's a load time for that. And then another load time to get to your actual destination. And then another load time to land on the planet.
Yeah, this game would not be playable on a hard drive.
No. Even like the Steam Deck on an SD card, I bet it's got to be unbearable.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't even know. Like, can this thing maintain 30 on the Steam Deck? I would be kind of surprised.
Not in cities, no. I think most of the game is fairly playable, but playable is like N64 playable, like 24 frames per second playable.
I gotcha.
think they're waiting for a performance update for sure, and I think there's one coming because Bethesda talked about Steam Deck a little bit in different places. I think they want it to work.
Yeah,
Xbox has been very focused on the Steam Deck. They want their games to work there.
I'm definitely very excited for the first patch for this game, because I think...
Yeah, me too, so I can play it.
There will be a lot of bug fixes, a lot of performance improvements, here's hoping. So,
this is another complaint about the Xbox app. When I open it, it says that my game was last updated in August, like August 28th. So I might not have the day one patch, but I can't, no matter what I do, I can't get it to install. Short of maybe uninstalling and reinstalling the game, which I'm unwilling to do because it's 116 gigs.
What a big game. Big boy.
Yeah. And that's just why.
Yeah, I'll wait on sale to get mods. I'll play vanilla. Because, I mean, the creation kit won't come out for Starfield for another 6 months.
Yeah,
So
no, the game will be on sale by
at some
then. I could see myself getting this game on sale down the line just for mods.
Yeah.
But I think it's even more likely that they're going to figure out a way to give me mods on PC. It'd be insane for them not to, I feel like.
Yeah, I don't know if Skyrim has
Game Pass, rather. Yeah, I think Skyrim wasn't a UWP, though. Like, that's the difference.
So Skyrim did have a UWP version, but there was a click button in the menu that you could set to allow mods that would give you root access to the entire game folder.
You have that in Starfield too, but it's still UWP, which means the script extender wouldn't work. Because the architecture is different on those.
So I think we should go around the horn and say our final thoughts on Starfield. So I'll go first. I think I think there are a lot of positives, a lot of negatives, but for me, like what this game does well, like the sense of immersion, the sense of place, and then just the sense of exploration. Like it does that so well, it overshadows most of the weaknesses for me. So granted, I'm still very early on, but like this is an incredible experience that I'm looking forward to experiencing more of, and hopefully we'll have
I tend to be very
updates in the
negative
weeks
on the
to come.
game that is good on the cusp of great, like I was Armored Core. I think Starfield is very squarely in the middle of good, which is a pretty good place to be for me because I'm not thinking about design when I play Starfield. There's little stuff that frustrates me, like the walking and everything, but it kind of knows what it is, I think, and I think that's fine. It's just a very good game.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. It's a good game. It's immersive. It'll throw you in there, and it's really good at it.
Yeah, it really could be improved with like a couple of smaller things, but really modders will implement I could literally a horse from Skyrim makes this game like 20% more enjoyable for me just because of the less walking time.
Yeah, just give it 6 months and it'll be the best Bethesda game ever released. Give it about a year, I'd say.
I think
give
it
it
might
about
already
a year.
be it's already my favorite Bethesda game, I think.
It's my favorite. Like I love it as much as Oblivion, and that's a very high bar. Anytime I compare a Bethesda game to Oblivion, that's a glowing recommendation.
Yeah, but I agree. Like, Oblivion had better writing for quest lines than Skyrim, and I think Starfield is on par with Oblivion in that way. And
the UC questline alone had enough twists and turns that I was invested in it, and it was very good. I still need to do, like, the Crimson Fleet questline and everything, but the questlines are very good, other than the main quest, but they've never been strong in any Bethesda game.
That's what's so weird about the main quest is that it had the highlights of the Starfield main quest are so much better than the highlights of the Skyrim main quest. Like the Skyrim main quest only has one memorable moment, and it's the final boss, whereas the Starfield one, it actually has a few moments that you will remember, and they are interesting and cool. It's just a lot of stuff in between those things, like literally just stuff between those things.
All right, I guess to close, maybe a little bit of a charged question, but Mike. Did this game do it? Is it your game of the year?
Ooh. Right after Armored Core, you hit him with that.
Because I know Mike was the one like that was really. I mean, like obviously I was looking forward to it too, but like Mike was the one who was really like waiting for this game for years. I feel like.
I've been waiting for Starfield for what feels like centuries almost. Like, it's the Bethesda curse.
I mean, that name has been in the public mind for almost a decade.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Easily.
And also, like, before you answer the question, Mike, I do want to say that I feel like this game is doing things, like, on a mainstream level that is kind of surprising to me. Like, people know what Starfield is.
I was away going to get my DoorDash, by the way.
Okay, great.
I don't know the question.
I mean, are you guys seeing that too? Like, people who don't play games know Starfield. Like, Starfield is going super mainstream.
Just like Skyrim, yeah.
Yeah, Bethesda just has that magic touch, I guess.
So, Mike, the question was, is this your game of the year?
Oh, man. I think, honestly, based on the fun I've had and my will to keep going back and play it, I think it is.
I think you have to finish it. Like you haven't. I don't think you've played enough of it yet.
I've played 25 hours,
game.
but it's so much of it that like I have no will to go back and play Baldur's Gate single player. Which
see, I do. I will be returning to Baldur's Gate. Like,
I don't think I'll come back to it. Maybe I'm coming back to it with friends, but I think it'll be like a with friends game for me now.
Yeah,
it just didn't.
Baldur's
draw
Gate
me
3.
in.
They're just so different because like Baldur's Gate 3 is like. I have to block off my evening because Baldur's Gate 3 is what I'm doing tonight, whereas Starfield is like, I could play this game for an hour and turn it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's good to be having some of these discussions now because we'll certainly be having them in December. So,
God, the game of the year this year is going to be hotly contested.
It's the tightest race because you have Tears of the Kingdom, Baldur's Gate 3.
I mean, I think it's safe to say at this point, like, this is the best year.
Armored Core.
This is the best year in gaming, like ever, right?
I do. Yeah, this is the best year in gaming of our lives, for sure.
Of our lives,
yeah. So good. We've had so many good releases, one after another.
It's not over. Super Mario Bros. Wonder still has the potential to be insane.
Yeah, exactly. And I was gonna say, even if you want a more quote unquote objective perspective, go to Metacritic, go to OpenCritic, look at all the 90+ games this year. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
And
what is? I don't care. Never mind. I don't care what Starfield. I don't want to look at any of the reviews because it is a game I really want my opinion to be my own on.
Well, you've already given your opinion, right? So.
I know, but I just don't care what anybody else thought of it. I don't think
Okay, that's fair.
I don't know.
Starfield's only an 84 on Metacritic.
No. It's much higher than that. It's like an 88.
I just looked at it. It's 84.
84 feels right.
Are you telling me it dropped like 4 points in like 2 days? That doesn't seem right.
88 would be really high for Starfield.
Yeah, on OpenCritic it's an 87.
That's very high. I don't think it deserves that necessarily. That's why I didn't want to look.
I don't know. I've played the least, but I would say, oh, you're right. On Metacritic it is an 84. That's wild.
Yeah, I just looked. I'm looking at like the.
I feel like it's higher than an 84 in my opinion, but
I don't. I feel like
I still have a lot to see and do before I have a valid opinion, I guess.
Yeah, you have not played enough of this game. Apparently, a lot of the people that reviewed it say that the game doesn't feel good until 12 hours in, and I don't agree with that. But
I heard some insane takes that were like, yeah, the game doesn't really start until like 100+ hours, and I'm just like,
that's unhinged.
What?
That's just not true.
I think Phil Spencer said that.
He might be talking about none of us know. There could be.
That's what I'm saying. Like when I look at this game,
peeked through the curtain into New Game Plus.
That's what I'm saying. Like there could off the rails. Like, I'm seeing nuts. I'm seeing like unlimited. I'm just seeing like an insane volume of stuff to the point where I was just like, how is one person supposed to do all this? Like just walking through the city, hearing snippets of conversations, having that logged as different quests. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like. Yeah. Multiply that by like 1,000 because of the planets. It's just like, what? Like, how are you supposed to play this game?
Multiply that by 10. There's not 1,000 planets with anything on them. There's like 10 or 20.
Okay, but even so, like 20 planets.
Yeah,
like on the same scale as New Atlantis or Neon. That's like a lot of stuff. So
they're also not. A lot. Aquila is not on the same scale as Neon City, but
like I'm sure there's other stuff out there like. That is on the scale of Neon, and
I bet there are cities I haven't seen. Like there are probably entire cities in this game that I have not seen yet.
I mean, are there stars you haven't been to?
Probably hundreds. Yeah.
Yeah, then there has to be, right?
No, I mean, I've been to cities that weren't part of the main campaign. I've seen a lot of stars with just nothing on them, like a couple of empty rocks, and I'm sure if I landed there'd be some procedural generated, but there's not stuff everywhere. There's a lot of empty space in this game that.
Well, in my defense, from what I've seen, it seems like there's stuff everywhere. So
they're leaving room, I think, for mods and DLC to just fill in the empty space. And I'm glad that empty space is there because I hate a game where every planet has life on it. That just wears me out because that's just not. It doesn't make sense. That's just not how the universe works. It immediately breaks my immersion. It's one of the main reasons I've never put any real time into No Man's Sky.
Yeah, and I guess this is kind of a spoiler, so don't answer it, but as of right now, I've only seen human beings. Like, the impression being I guess humanity still hasn't contacted alien life, or maybe alien life doesn't exist in this world, but I'm sure that's a question they'll tackle later in the game.
It's one of Constellation's great questions, isn't it, Amit?
Right, yeah. I just couldn't be bothered to listen to them, because I was just, trying to get away from the main quest.
Yeah.
And Sarah in particular, who just won't shut up.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Don't finish the main quest until you're when you finish the main quest, you're given the option to not do it, but it definitely pushes you to jump into New Game Plus when you finish the main quest.
Yeah, I mean I'm definitely gonna hop back on the main quest just to get rid of Sarah, but then go back to doing my side activities.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense to do the main quest up until the last minute. There just really is some good stuff in there that I think people should see. And I'm
sure I'll get to it eventually, but I want to play this how I play all my other Bethesda games, where it's just I meander around and sort of just stumble onto things.
I just know you, Ahmed. You don't always get to it eventually.
You're right. I said I was gonna get to Armored Core event. I still haven't touched Armored Core past Chapter 3. I haven't touched Baldur's Gate past Chapter or Act 1.
Yeah, I still haven't gotten to Act 3 in Baldur's Gate because the way we do this show, I really wanted to have. No, it's not even that. I just wanted to play Starfield. I don't think Starfield is a better game, but the hype is here. I wanted to play it.
Okay, so here's my whole thing. I have this vision in my head. Whether I actually do it, that's, who knows. But I want to just go all in on Starfield. Play nothing but Starfield for the longest time until I'm done with it, right? And then I want to circle back around to Baldur's Gate and alternate that with Armored Core. Because in my mind, that's a good, sort of combination. And then before the year ends... No, I'm getting ahead of myself. And then in October, I'm going to take a break from all that, play Spider-Man. Beat it, come back to Baldur's Gate.
Coming out this year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Spider-Man
oh, my
2.
God.
This year.
So, why?
But
dude,
all that to say,
coming this year, that's not for any of us, but Payday 3 is going to be a huge
That's going
to
be huge. But I was going to say, after Spider-Man, I want to finish Baldur's Gate, and then before the end of the year, I want to finish Tears of the Kingdom.
Dude, you should just finish.
All of this started when I got distracted by Diablo. And I've just been going down this rabbit hole of 1,000-hour games ever since. It's ridiculous.
Dude, you should just finish it. You should just play the story of Tears of the Kingdom. The ending is really cool.
The ending's really good.
So I'm very determined to completely beat Tears of the Kingdom before our Game of the Year discussion. But it's just never before have I been inundated with
Damn it, I would bet a lot of money that you won't. You have a move in October.
That's you know what? I can't dispute that. I can't dispute that.
There's just no way you do it.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try though. I'm gonna try. But this is the first time where I've been I've had multiple games come out before where I'm just oh, here's I have a 20-hour game and a 30-hour game at once. And that's a lot, right? But right now I have I have 300+ hour games I want to play. This is Starfield, Baldur's Gate, and Tears of the Kingdom, right? It's just...
And I think they've confirmed that Tears of the Kingdom is not getting any DLC.
It is not. No, Tears of the Kingdom is
I think that's fine.
Is for the best, yeah.
But it's just how am I going to do all of this?
Dude, this is why I play games the way I do. I beeline the campaign, and then if the game was really good, I play the other stuff. But I'm just in a position where I'm finally at a point in my life where I can buy all the games I want to play.
It's a curse.
There is no way. There's still stuff I want to do in Starfield right now, but I'm probably not going to play it anymore until it gets a performance patch. And there's a good chance I don't pick it up again this year. There's a very good chance just because there's other stuff going on.
There's too much. There's just too much. And plus, in addition to video games, non-video game real life stuff,
Yeah.
There's a lot of that too.
Returnal. I loved Returnal. I thought it was really fun. And
I love Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom is still probably my game of the year. I have to seriously think about whether I want to put Baldur's Gate over Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. I'm not emotionally prepared for that conversation.
But Tears of the Kingdom is still probably my game of the year, but I left it to play Diablo for 160 hours.
Which is not your game of the year.
Which is not my game of the year. Well, I don't regret the time I spent with Diablo. I thought it was a lot of fun. But
I regret every moment and dollar I spent on that game because I keep forgetting I even have it.
Yeah, you played it. That's wild. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just not that good.
I feel like we need to do another tournament bracket style episode
for 2023 games.
We might have to do that to get to a game of the year this year.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Mike. I think we should.
The problem with those is that every time we do that, everyone ends up being mad because we produce the result no one wanted.
I guarantee.
Hold on, no, don't spoil it because that episode hasn't come out yet.
What has it?
The console one. No, I've been saving that one to do after our individual game episodes.
I was going to say, I guarantee if we do that, Starfield ends up winning.
You think so? Yeah,
I mean, if we're doing a tournament, because because that's what keeps happening is a game I like, but I do not think by any measure is the best is what wins.
I don't know. I think those are some of the most fun episodes to me.
Yeah,
so
we could do a bracket style.
I'd totally be down to do that.
We could also just do both. We could do our personal game of the year, and we could do a bracket. We're allowed. The problem is we always combine our game of the year with the game awards.
No, that's not true. We do separate them out usually, but here's okay. So we should do the bracket style tournament thing, and then at the end of the episode we can discuss our individual game of the years. But I do like the idea of us as a podcast deciding on a game, whether it's it's something like none of us agree on or not, you know?
I mean, to be fair, that's what the Besties, that was that whole show for many years.
Yeah. Well,
and
we're ripping off.
People loved it. Yeah.
Ripping off of that.
Ripped them off before.
Yeah.
That's where we got our tournament bracket style. Everything else is me hearing them do it and thinking we should do it.
And here I thought you were a content savant.
I told you. I said it on the episode.
Yeah, you probably did.
I like the Besties. Well, except Justin McElroy says a lot of insane takes on that show, but I mostly like the Besties. I even like Justin McElroy. I think he's very funny, but his gaming takes are wild.
All right. I guess that's it. Starfield is out. All the big games of 2023 are out, except for, I guess, Spider-Man and Super Mario Wonder and
Payday 3.
Payday 3 and Mario RPG Remake and
Lies of P, maybe.
Lies of P. And...
Yeah. It just doesn't. 2023 never ends. It just doesn't end.
Oh my god!
The last 2 years have been so slow.
Oh my god! Cities Skylines 2 comes out this year.
It's so bad. There's so many games.
It's so niche, but like that is going to be.
That's a great game.
That's going to be a big game.
I played a lot of Cities Skylines 1 actually. So
yeah, I'm probably going to play a lot of 2.
This is why I'm unhinged. Like, this is it. This is the year
Game Pass.
Honest to God, this is why I haven't played video games in the last, 5 days. I've just been so overwhelmed. I'm just like, there's so much I want to play, I'm just not going to play any of it.
I've been running into that too.
And just panic.
I also, I made fun of you for moving. I'm moving in 2 days, and, there's a very good chance I don't have my setup ready or anything to play games. I don't know if I'll have played anything before next week for our show.
Yeah.
Oh man, I have to play a game for games we've been playing too. Oh no.
I think we've all been playing Starfield, so
yeah. Or next week.
That counts. All right. That is going to do it for us this week. Thank you all for
we don't have to play a game for games we've been
No,
playing.
we don't. And let me say, I have felt that way before, and then I have to catch myself and be like, no. This is just some dumb thing we do for fun.
It is actually insane that the three of us can have a different game every single week.
But we do,
though. Me and Mike have both done repeats a few times.
We don't
talk about Warframe 1,000 times on this show.
But here's the thing. Have you guys ever, because this happens to me. I find myself thinking, oh, I need to play something for the podcast. And then I stop myself and I'm like, that's dumb. Don't think that way. But I do sometimes think that way.
I have never started a game for the podcast, but I do finish a game that I don't like. I finished Subnautica because I wanted to come correct when I came at that game on the podcast.
Yeah. It's
play through it so you can trash it on the podcast.
And I will occasionally, if I see a game that looks interesting on Game Pass, I will download it and play a little bit of it so that I can talk about it on the podcast. I've done that before. Yeah. But that is beneficial to me because that gets me to play smaller games that I wouldn't have played otherwise.
Right,
so
right.
I actually like that.
I just never want to create a feeling of obligation, right? And I do feel like sometimes I feel that way, and I need to not feel that way.
Yeah.
All right. Just wanted to say that.
Oh, yeah.
All right, you can follow us at Podcast Game Talk on Twitter, even though we never tweet anymore and probably never will. But more importantly, rate, and review us on... Yeah, what's up?
Can we call it Twitter, or can we call it Elon Musk's personal site now?
We're calling it Twitter. We're not calling it X, ever. It's Twitter.
Elon Musk can learn what it's like to be dead named.
Yeah. All right, I'm all over the place. Like us, rate us, review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, or any other podcast services you use. Click the link in the description of the episode to join our Discord and talk to us there. Thank you, Connor and Mike.
Oh yeah, see you guys next week.
See you next week. Bye.